On today's Moving the Chains, another great episode in our off-season new coaches, new hires interview series, Jerel. We've got Rashad Graham, head coach of the West Ashley Wildcats, going to bring a lot of energy to that program.
Yeah, for sure, man. It was great catching up with Coach Graham today. Been the leader of that Bowling Springs defense for a few years now. Really helped, revitalize that program under Coach Real there. Excited to see what he's going to take down to the low country. And I hope you guys really enjoy listening to our interview with him.
Yeah, super cool guy. Excited to see him take over a program of his own for sure. Really great interview. Hope you guys enjoy it here today on Moving the Chains.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.
Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. We've got a great interview today, a very special guest, the new head coach of the West Ashley Wildcats, Rashad Graham. Coach, how you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. We're getting things rolling over here, but I can't complain, man. It's been a good process for sure.
But we appreciate your time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, our website, movinchains.com, and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Graham was hired in February. He was the defensive coordinator at Bowling Springs for the past 3 seasons. Prior, he coached at North Myrtle Beach, Olympic in Charlotte, and Sockasty High School. Coach, let's start there. What's that transition been like, going from a DC at Bowling Springs to moving down to the coast, being the head man here at West Ashley?
Man, it's been an awesome transition, but it's been tough. Everything's kind of new. Being a new head coach in football, that was a tough transition to just understanding what all you have to get done on a day-to-day basis, but also moving from the upper state down to the low country. It's about 4 hours away from where I was. So, my family's still kind of in Bowling Springs, and we're playing between places right now. But, everything's been going smooth. Admin here has been really helping me out and helping try to contribute to getting this thing on going in the right direction. And it's been going good. But transitioning from the DC to total program, it's a lot different. That's for sure. It's a lot different.
Coach Graham, Kevin touched on it briefly on your background, but if you don't mind, provide a little color for us. How'd you get into coaching? Your previous stops and how you got up to this point.
Definitely. So starting out in high school, my high school career never went the way I wanted it to go. I had a lot of injuries and stuff that plagued me. Didn't get to play my senior season because I ended up having ankle surgery. And so, kind of at that point, it was a crossroad because every high school kid thinks that they're going to go and play in the NFL. So, I kind of started realizing that probably wasn't going to be my path. So, I just kind of pivoted and playing under Coach Woolbright, he really kind of talked to me about what was next. And I really wanted to go into education. My family has a big education background, so I wanted to go into education and wanted to coach. And so Coach Woolbright really kind of allowed me to still hang around and kind of observe and help out wherever needed, kind of as like a student manager. And I was in my booth walking around, pulling bags and doing film and stuff like that. And that really kind of set me into the coaching world. And so I went to Coastal Carolina and thought I was going to do the walk-on route, but, realized that probably wasn't the route that I wanted to take either. And so I got into coaching at Sockasty High School at 19 years old. And so, I got into coaching there. I was just an adjunct coach, and I was going to Coastal Carolina. And from there, kind of took off, and I was coaching offensive line there my first 2 years. And then the third year there, I transitioned to the defensive side of the ball, which is where I really wanted to be at. And it was on since then. When I graduated college, Charlotte, Olympic High School in Charlotte offered me a PE teacher job and a coach job. So got on the road and went down to Charlotte and had a great experience. had a really great experience. Was around some really, really good coaches and kind of helped turn that program around. That program, was struggling a little bit, and we turned that around. And in the first year, we were a competitive team that I think we ended up going 8-3 that year, and we had a lot of kids off that team that ended up going to play college ball. And then COVID hit. So when COVID hit, I was away from my family. My now wife, we were dating then, and I was away from her too. So got an opportunity to come back home to North Myrtle Beach and teach in the building. And I'm a South Carolina guy, and I wanted to be in South Carolina, but I also wanted a job. So, I had to do what I had to do to go to Olympic. But once I got an opportunity to get back in South Carolina and get back teaching, I took it and ran with it. So I went to North Myrtle Beach under Coach Jerel. Coach Jerel was the head coach there then. And, me and him kind of hit off, and we're best friends now, and that's my guy. So we were there and kind of same thing. He had some great years there and then had a lot of seniors leave. So then we our last year, my first year there was the year that we went to the state championship. And it was just a crazy year. Like going into that season, the season before, I think they had went 5-6, and we didn't know what to expect, and it was coming off of COVID, so it was really, everything was still quarantined, and you had to work in pods, and it was a different time for sure. And so, we didn't know what to expect, and we get 3 games in, and it's like, oh, we're 3-0, and 4 games in, oh, we're 4-0. And so it just kind of trickled. And then the next year, I'm still a position coach there. The next year, I kind of took over the JV for Coach Jerel, and him just kind of believing in me, he allowed me to do that. And as time went on, I think we just grew closer. And then at the end of the season, you kind of knew some rumblings that, he may be going elsewhere. And so once it kind of started going in motion, he reached out to me and was just like, hey, man, I need somebody in my corner, need somebody in the foxhole with me when I go. But I want you to come be my DC if I do. And it was a hard decision because North Myrtle Beach was home. That was my place. That, born and raised, my parents went there, it was home. But the opportunity to go upstate, see what upstate ball was like, move up to defensive coordinator, I couldn't pass it up. So, got on the road and sold my house with my wife, and we moved up there, and, it was on since. And we did some good things there to turn the program around. And, man, I know he's going to continue to keep pushing that program. And now he pushed me out, and I'm a branch on his tree. But, I blow his phone up still every day, just asking stuff and trying to still learn stuff from him. But, man, that kind of got me here today. And now, the new phase.
I love it. Well, Coach, one of the most important things, maybe sometimes the toughest thing for a new head coach is getting that staff filled out. How is that coming along for you guys? Do you have it fully in place, looking for a couple guys, or how is that kind of coming together for you?
So we're in a good place right now. We really are. We have about 16 coaches between varsity and JV. And so, that was one of the biggest things. I had that time where I got hired in February, but I didn't really get here until like mid-April. Mm-hmm. And so during that time, I probably did a million Zooms of interviewing guys and just trying to get the staff and set in place. So when we got there, we can just hit the ground running. But we have a good mix of older veteran guys and young guys, and, a good mix of different backgrounds, guys from upstate, guys from the lower state, guys from the low country area. So, we've got a really good mix of guys that's going to impact our kids. And I think it's a really good group. And we got a chance to do something special. We got a lot of good experience, and I'm excited about it.
Coach, you were talking during that transition of, all the admin tasks and kind of touched on staffing. Another big part is creating your own program, but the X's and O's part of it on offense and defense. What schemes do you plan on running there, and are you going to still call those defensive plays?
Right now, defensively, we're an odd base front. We're very, very multiple. We'll do a lot of different things and play a lot of different coverages. I'm kind of a guy that I'm very basic in what we do, but it's going to look different, and we're going to present it in different ways. We got vanilla ice cream, but we can put sprinkles on it. We can put chocolate on it. We can put caramel on it, but it's still vanilla. And so that's kind of what I believe in offensively and defensively. But defensively, we'll be an odd base front, and we'll play a lot of zone coverages. And then offensively, we'll be a spread offense. We'll play a little bit with a tight end and an H-back, but we'll also be, four wide. And we're going to be balanced with running the ball and passing the ball. But I truly believe we got to be able to take shots and score fast. And so, we'll do some different things to kind of achieve that.
A little bit different from the West Ashley teams the last couple of years, put it that way, on the offensive
Definitely.
side, at least, for sure. Coach, you've been all across the state. You've played for some great coaches, coached with some great coaches with Coach Reel and Coach Woolbright and guys like that. Who are some guys that you kind of maybe model your style after, maybe even guys that you haven't played against or played for, you just like to maybe watch on TV and pick up things from here and there?
Definitely. I'm a football junkie. I'm a football nerd. I'm really big into that. But some guys that kind of impacted me, personally, obviously Coach Woolbright, obviously Coach Reel. Those are two really, really big guys for me. But also Coach Al Hooker. He's been an assistant for a long time, but he was also up in the Rock Hill area for a while. He was the DC at Soxie High School when I was there. And then he actually became the quarterback coach at North Myrtle when I was there too. So it's kind of funny to see him in different roles. But I learned so much about organization and, running a practice and how prepared you need to be for the kids and for coaches. And I mean, I don't know if I've ever been a guy that's more organized and more prepared than Coach Hooker. A guy by the name of Darren Hart in North Carolina, he's a really big name. I don't know if I can go anywhere without somebody knowing him. But he's been on the college level for, I think, 15 years, been at a lot of the HBCUs, and then kind of got to the high school level and was at Olympic High School when I was there. He was the DC, and me and him are best friends. And he's an older guy, but I learned so much from him about defense and how to do things and what the process should look like on scouting teams and just the kind of defensive mentality as far as, like I said, having that vanilla ice cream, but then showing having some different sprinkles and stuff to add on to it. And then getting to North Myrtle, the DC there was the opposite. He was not a vanilla ice cream guy. He was everything, very much a college scheme. But it was good to see kind of the opposite and see he was very, very aggressive. We were going for broke on every play. We're either going to make a big play or it's going to be a big play on the other side. So it was kind of good to see one where it's like, we're going to set up this defense and teams are just going to have to nickel and dime all the way down the field. And then the flip side was at North Myrtle, I saw we're going to make the big play every play. And sometimes you give up some, but you never know what's going to happen until you try. So those guys really molded me. And then from there, watching the collegiate game, guys like Coach Venables, obviously was at Clemson for a long time and just did an excellent job. And Coach Smart down there at Georgia, defensively, they do a lot of really good things. And then Nate Woody, he was at Wofford for a while. He's at Army right now. He's the DC at Army. A lot of stuff I got from him also. So, kind of all over the place, but, you try to steal things that you think fits you from different people and you make it yours.
Coach, you're young in age, but you have some great experiences. You mentioned, helping your alma mater get to a state title game. Obviously, Coach Reel believing in you, not to just go to Bowling Springs, but going to Region 2 and 5A is a gauntlet up there to lead that defense. But even with that experience, it's hard for a lot of young coaches, to really know that it's time to make that transition to be a head coach. How did you know that it was time to do that?
It's tough. It really is. Leaving that situation, I was in a great situation. I really was. obviously with Coach Real, me and him being tight, there was a lot of things that worked out in my favor for sure. And then just kind of knowing what I was going to get. My thing I've always said was I did not want to work for another head coach as a position coach. And so, I kind of made that decision where I told Coach Real, wherever you go, I'm going because I don't want to work for anybody else because I know what I was going to get on a daily basis. And I really respected that of him. But, sometimes those opportunities come about and it's just you feel it. And when I came here to West Ashley, the atmosphere of the athletics program, as a whole, you could tell it was a family atmosphere. Everybody wanted to work together. Everybody wanted to help each other and see each other win. And admin wise, it was never any kind of like, there's your admin, they're over there. Like you go ask them for what you want, and then that's it. It was always like, hey, they're coming to you, coming to me. What do you need? How can we help this process go smoother? And I share, we all have an office, me, the AD, and assistant athletic administrator, and we have doors in between our office, but we keep them open, and we're between each other, talking in offices and just shooting the breeze sometimes, and it's just you can tell it's not like a difference. It's just everybody's trying to contribute to that success, and to me, when you have something like that, then in my opinion, you're probably going to have success if you can get the bus going the right way. And I think we're in the right way. We just gotta develop and continue to grow. But everybody's pushing in the right direction, and that's 80% of the battle.
I know you're just kind of starting to get the kids out on the grass, Coach, with spring practice here, but maybe who are some special guys we should be on the lookout for next year on both sides of the football for you guys?
So we've got a couple guys. We've got a guy, Bristol Beggins, a big time recruit for us here. Got some D1 offers. He's like an edge, tight end, defensive end, outside linebacker guy for us. Big kid, 6'5", like 240. Is going to do some really special things for us this year. He's a guy that's going to stand out, and he's a guy that's bringing in all colleges here. And then we have a few other guys. At quarterback, we got a kid by the name of Chase Town. Works extremely hard in the weight room. He ended up not getting to play much last season. I think the first game he tore his ACL, but he's got a huge arm. He's got a rocket attached to his arm, and he's been making practice a little tough for us on our side of the ball. But he's still kind of rehabbing back from the ACL. So he's one that's I think it's gonna maybe have a big year for us. And we've got a lot of young guys. Joshua Bradley, he's a receiver. He's going to be a junior. But he's had a great spring so far, and just got to continue to push him into that leadership role. Sometimes when you're one of the top players on the team, you just inherit the leadership role. So just trying to push him to that, and we've got a couple other guys. Spencer Rockers, another guy that's going to be a junior coming up, but he's had an excellent spring at linebacker, and he's in a position that, in my system, defensively, it's tough. It's tough because that's kind of the first place my eyes look to, but he's taken it and run with it, and he's had a great spring so far. So those are some guys, and we've got a couple more, but I need to see it a little more for them to really get that shout out.
There we go.
Yeah. Coach, you mentioned you're in the midst of spring ball here, and it's fun, long winter with no football, and of course you go into a new place. It allows you to kind of get some eyes on personnel. But what have you been your biggest takeaway, from your team during spring ball?
The biggest thing is those guys come to work every day, and that's refreshing to see. We had the same thing at Bowling Springs, but we've had some rough days too. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit it. We've had some rough days where it's like, man, but the next day they show up, they're in the weight room, they're ready to work. They work hard in the weight room. They go out to practice. They work hard at practice, and they're actively trying to get better. They're actively, hey, coach, when we're watching film, what could I have done better here? What do I need to work on? They're asking the right questions, and I think it's just from there, just getting the consistency. But man, it's been very refreshing to see that we say we have a bad day, the next day they come back and it's like, well, I'm ready to go again, and it's not kind of like carrying the bad days into multiple bad days or bad weeks or stuff. So that's been refreshing to see for sure.
Right after spring practice, coach, we'll roll into 7-on-7 season. As a
Yeah.
defensive guy, are you a fan of that stuff? Do y'all have a lot of them planned out, a lot of the camps planned out? And then also, do you maybe like more of the, 11-on-11, which is now kind of, legal and kind of coming up, here in South Carolina?
I haven't been a part of an 11-on-11 yet.
Okay.
At Bowling Springs this year, we were actually going to try and see, test out that avenue. We have not done that. I've never been a part of that yet. But we do have some 7-on-7s. I think we have 5 on the books right now. We're gonna go to the Citadel. We're gonna go to Charleston Southern, and then we've got some around here locally that we'll go to. I am a 7-on-7 guy. I do believe in it. I think there's a lot you can get from it, just with having the eyes in the right spot on the defensive side of the ball, and then offensively, just the timing of routes and the reads for the quarterbacks and all that. It's really big. I think it can be a tool to help develop. But I'm also pressing on my coordinator and also myself that we're only going to do things in those 7-on-7s that we'll do in the game. Sometimes you'll see little routes and different things in 7-on-7 that's like, I think the offensive line's standing right there, but let's go. But I'm really big on we're only going to do things that we'll do in the game, and sometimes that may cost you winning a 7-on-7 tournament or whatever. But I truly believe that it's better to build the habits that we're going to use in the game and during the season rather than trying to win this specific 7-on-7. And I think majority of the time, if you stick to those habits and stuff, that's going to put you in place to win some of those 7-on-7s and do some of those things.
Coach, West Ashley's a program, that just has not had a ton of success lately. Me and Kevin, we speak to our contacts around the state. They talk about this program. They got the talent, just unfortunately not able to put it all together. And you've been a part of some staffs, here in South Carolina and North Carolina that, kind of had to rebuild programs. What is something that you identified early on that you really, focused on that you said, I need to change this to help this program take a next step forward?
Yeah. I think the 2 biggest things that I saw was just consistency. For me, it's being consistent every day so that the kids can be consistent. So they know what the expectation is every day. And I think that's going to allow them to be consistent every single day. Our schedule is set. Our schedule is set through the rest of the year for football. And I'm just one of those guys, and we stick to the schedule. So I press my coaches like, hey, we got this amount of time. If you can't get it in this amount of time, then that's a you thing. That's not a kid thing. And just different things like that, I think will allow the consistency for the kids, and that'll allow them to be who they are, but also do the things that we need them to do on a daily basis. And then the other thing I think is just continuing to push the competitiveness. I think sometimes you can get caught up in the everyday grind of lifting, going outside, practice, that you forget that this is a sport and it's really played for fun. And so we've got, to me, just pushing. We've got to be more competitive. If we have a big win or not a big win, but a big play here or whatever, we're celebrating it on the way back to do it again. And the competitiveness in practice, I feel like will allow us to raise the bar and raise the standard for the program. And so, that's something that we're trying to push a lot. It's tough because they're all in the learning stage right now. They're learning new offense, new defense. They're learning new stuff in the weight room. It's just a lot of new for them. So it's tough to get them to really the speed we want to be at. But we're seeing every day those incremental improvements. And so to me, that's what it's about. But that competitiveness and then just consistency is the biggest things right now. I think we do it in spurts, but continuing to do it every single day will be huge for us.
How has that community, I guess, embraced you and your team as you've come in there and tried to get things turned around? And can you kind of tell that they're maybe kind of hungry for a winner down there in West Ashley?
Definitely. It's been – I was talking to Coach Jerel the day after I got named because I came down and got named and stuff. And I was talking to Coach Jerel, and I was like, this is unreal. Like, I mean, I've gotten probably the day I was named like 150 text messages, some from people I don't know, some from people I know, and social medias. I had to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb for like that night just because it was unreal. And even, I was down there that weekend. So, we're walking around Target and I could tell people started kind of noticing who I was because nobody said anything, but it kind of a double take. And you could tell they were trying to figure out if I was somebody. And obviously my picture was all on social media. But it's been unreal, man. We've had a parent meeting and just to see the amount of people that showed up for the parent meeting and the people that want to be a part and that are itching for the success and what these kids deserve. I think it's been awesome to see. It's been kind of like a check to me too. Like, hey man, these people everything's there for you to do it. So now I got to do it. And I truly believe that. But the support has been there, and we've got people that are donating money to the program and doing some different things where it was kind of, overwhelming to me, just like, man. And they're just like, Coach, we believe in the things that you're saying and pushing. And for me, being a new head coach to football, I was a head track coach for about 5 years, but being a new head coach to football, it's people donating and stuff like that. It's just like, man, I mean, I'm just saying what I thought I should be saying or doing the things that I thought, is normal, what we should be doing. And for them, it's like, hey man, we love what you're trying to bring here and we support you and we want to help you get whatever you need. And so it's been awesome to see and see the excitement. And we've had pretty good numbers out of spring ball. Still want some more, but we've had pretty good numbers out of spring ball. And even like our younger groups and stuff, their workouts, like our middle school groups, they're doing workouts and stuff. And it's saying we've had a really good number. I think there was some days where we had like 80, 85 kids for that middle school group, which is unheard of, especially when you got a lot of transition and coaching and stuff like that.
Facing unexpected expenses and need a quick play? A personal loan from Founders Federal Credit Union can help you cover costs and get back in the game. With competitive rates and flexible terms, a personal loan from Founders is the winning play. Whether it's for a big purchase or an emergency, we've got you covered. Visit foundersfcu.com/personal to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
Couple easier ones here for you, Coach. Let you go today. On a Friday night for a home game in your office, maybe on the bus for an away game. What's on your pregame playlist as you get ready to take the field?
Pregame playlist during the day. So I do have, kind of a separation. During the day, I try to only listen to like R&B and gospel music because I don't want to I don't want my engine to run hot early. That's kind of my thing. I don't want my engine to run hot early. And then usually, right around that, when we're walking out to do the warm-ups and stuff, I try to, get my mind right, so to speak, and then, transition to a little more up-tempo music, some rap, some of the stuff the kids listen to. And
you got to give us some artists, Coach. Who you got?
Oh, man. Artist-wise, when once I'm transitioning to the being in the football mind, everything these kids listen to. So Young Boy and some of these new rappers, Rilo and whoever everybody they're listening to, I try I make the playlist for the weight room and all that stuff for these kids, and then I end up listening to it because I've heard it. And, some of it's good and some of it's just like, I can't tell what they're saying, but it's okay. It sounds good, so we'll go with it. But, Future and some of those guys, yeah.
Love it. I love it. Coach, this is one that we ask everybody that comes on the program. We're going to cut you a little bit of slack because you just relocated a few weeks ago. But if we're in Charleston for a game, we're in that area, specifically that community over there, West Ashley, what is a restaurant that we need to hit up?
So I hit up Home Team Barbecue,
okay,
which is right up the road from us. And that was pretty good. That was I love their brisket. I've gone there a couple times. I've been here for like 4 weeks, and I think I've been there 4 times. So I definitely think that'd be a must. The Kickin' Chicken is right up the road from us too, and they have really, really good appetizers. Went there. Trying to think of what's another place. Those are 2 I can definitely give you. The rest, I'll have to let you know on those.
Hey, we'll circle back, and those 2 are great,
yeah.
especially Home Team. We got one in the upstate. I've been to the one down there in Charleston. The smoked wings are my favorite, though. If you've had those, if you haven't had them yet, try those.
I haven't had those yet. I'm gonna have to try those. I've gotten the brisket every time I've gone so far, but I'm gonna have to try those smoked wings.
Well, a last one here for you, Coach. I know it's a little bit early still in the process, but what are maybe some goals you've got for 2025 for the West Ashley Wildcats?
Win right now. We have some different goals, and I try to keep them, stuff that still stays within what we want to accomplish and what our end goals are. But I'm not the guy that's going to get on here and say win a state championship. I want to win a state championship. Been to one, and there's no feeling like it. But we lost, so there's no feeling like losing it, and knowing that there may never be another opportunity, but there also may be an opportunity. So you have to go and take it. But I'm a guy that, I set smaller goals. That's going to get us to that. I'm a Dabo Swinney fan, so some of these I got from him, but win the opener. I think that's a huge one, just starting the season off the right way. Football is with it being a fall sport and it being such a big sport, it can really not only, be a spark plug for athletics, but it can be a spark plug for the school as a whole. And so, most of the time when a football team is good, then that school kind of has a pretty good year in athletics and in general. So win the opener, undefeated at home, and then win the region and win the closer. And to me, you do those and you got a chance. And so I think, winning the opener is the big number one. We win the opener, and then from there we can adjust and see what is next. But I think that's the number one goal, and it's just taking one bite out of the elephant at a time. We can't beat whoever's the closer until we beat the opener, and so it's definitely doing that and just getting better as time goes on.
Well, this has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Graham and the Wildcats on social media. They do a great job promoting their kids and their programs. Follow them on there. Like I mentioned, follow us on all social media at Movin Chains, website movinchains.com, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Movin The Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach? We'll let him go today.
Yeah, Coach Graham, thank you so much again for your time today. It's really cool to get to learn your story and, the processes and steps that you've taken in your career to get here to lead this West Ashley program. We know you're going to be successful, especially if you take pages out of that Dabo Swinney playbook. We love that. And I guess we'll let May River know they're on the clock right now.
Yeah.
So I'll get after it. You guys stay healthy in the spring and summer, man, and we really look forward to seeing what you're going to do in the fall.
Definitely. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Coach. Look forward to stopping by a practice or a game, getting to meet you in person, and best of luck, all right?
Yes, sir. Hey, now, whenever y'all do come to that West Ashley game, we need y'all to pick us now.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.